What's going on, everyone? So there have been some buzz kind of generating about the Lakers potentially trading for Kristaps Porzingis, which I want to start off by saying I sure hope not. Kristaps Porzingis, incredible talent, don't get me wrong. He's a guy that go get you buckets, spread the floor. I mean, on paper, he would be incredible for the Lakers, right? Guy that can spread the floor, knock down the three ball with consistency, protect the rim, right? Be a pick and pop guy for LeBron, right? Be a lob threat for Luka because he is so long and lengthy. He could just kind of get up there, he just slam it home, right? Like, ideally, he would be fantastic for the Lakers. My biggest problem with Kristaps Porzingis is he can't stay healthy. He can't stay on the court. The best ability is availability. And more than anything, can't stay on the court in the playoffs. And the guy was just having like a mystery, respiratory issue, which I don't think is a good thing for the Lakers to go take a risk or a chance on. And that's not counting how is Kristaps and Luka's relationship, right? There's still kind of questions and things left in the air about that, right? But even if there are great, even if Luka's yeah, sure, hey, Kristaps would be great, right? I personally want to see the Lakers stay away from Kristaps Porzingis. But there are, rumors going around and all kinds of predictions. And you have, Andy Bailey predicting that the Lakers are going to trade for Kristaps Porzingis. He proposed that Lakers would trade Rui Hachimura, Maxi Kleber, a 2030 first-round pick swap, and a 2032 first-round pick swap in an attempt to land Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis. And personally, again, I would stay away from that. On paper, sure, he makes a ton of sense. I get the idea. I get the logic that can be made from that. But I don't think the Lakers are in a position to take a risk on a guy that the Celtics won a championship essentially without him because he only played in half the games and he was limited in minutes in most of those games, or just played limited minutes, or came off the bench, or whatever, because they couldn't make a run with him. Right? I don't think that he's the best, allocation of our assets and money. Right? Obviously, it's what's available, what can you realistically get, what isn't going to break the bank. I don't know if I'd give up 2 pick swaps. Right? If you give up, say, a pick swap, maybe. Right? If you were giving up, say a swap, a pick swap plus, matching salary, sure. Because he is going into a contract year. So, he's making $30.7 million next year, right? That's why Rui plus Maxi Kleber. I think you'd have to throw in another contract, and it would have to be a third team. But you could throw in, if you had to, you could throw in a Shake Milton or something like that, because Shake Milton is on a non-guaranteed deal. So, again, there's a path to Kristaps Porzingis. Don't get me wrong. And I get the logic. I get the understanding. He's still on the right side of 30, right? So, he's a guy that I do think, if healthy, and he could give you 70 games, right? Let's say even just league average. Let's say just the minimum threshold, 65 games. If he was giving you 65 games plus, played every playoff game, was fully healthy come playoff time, sure. If I had a crystal ball and I could just, type thing, and boom, there it is, then sure, go get him, right? Because again, I do think that the potential and possibilities on the offensive side of things, as well as his ability to protect the rim, would be very valuable. Talk about a guy that can pick and pop, shoot the 3 ball with efficiency, operate in the mid-range, knock down the mid-range, right? Can be in that dunker spot for Luka and be that kind of lob threat for him. He's a guy that is incredibly versatile as far as offensive versatility goes at the big man position. Talk about a guy that's 7'2", he's got a 7'6" wingspan, 240, 250 pounds. Saw him at the 4 at times. You saw him at center at times, right? You saw Al Horford and him playing at times. So, if Lakers were to go get a Clint Capella, something like that, right? My thing is just, yes, you can make an argument. If it works, great, right? Then you can work out a new deal and do whatever, right? I feel like he would more likely than not just kind of be a stopgap, right? Everything else fails. You're not able to trade for another center, or, the asking price and everything is too much for these other centers. And you look at a team like Boston, who's kind of we get a bunch of expiring contracts. Basically, we get a free pick swap for Kristaps Porzingis, right? Cool. Let's do that. Right? Because, Lakers, it's not like they're taking on salary or anything like that. Lakers would give, here's our expiring salary. we'll take your expiring salary. We'll give you a pick swap for your service, right? So, Boston's looking at it as like, we get a free pick swap. Sure. But I would, is that worth it for the Lakers to take a flyer on a guy in Kristaps Porzingis? Maybe, again, it depends on what else can the Lakers get, what else is available, what else is out there for them, right? Is Kristaps Porzingis on a stopgap year, is that better than, Nick Claxton and his, $75 million over the next 3 years? Is that better than, a Daniel Gafford? I'd probably rather go with Daniel Gafford, right? I think he's more reliable, kind of gives you what you need. Yeah, he's not as offensive versatile as a Kristaps Porzingis, but he still, gives you a lot, right? If let's say Gafford's off the table and it's just like Nick Claxton and Kristaps Porzingis, but the Nets are like, we want a first for Nick Claxton, right? And it's like, okay, we can do a first for Nick Claxton or we can do a pick swap for Kristaps Porzingis, kind of have him be a stopgap year and kind of take a flyer on him. Sure, maybe. Right? Again, it's not my favorite idea, but the problem is you look at his career, the most games he's ever played in a season, is 72 games. That was his rookie season. His rookie year is the most he has ever played in a season. That was 72 games. Since then, he's played 66 games, 48 games, missed an entire season, 57 games, 43 games, 51 games, 34 games, 17 games, 51 games was the trade season, Dallas and Washington. So 51 games, 65 games, 57 games, 42 games. So if he could give you, like I said, 65 games, so if we could get the final Washington year, right, where, he's giving you, which, by the way, they didn't make the playoffs. So if he give you the final Washington year, 65 games, and let's say play in the postseason, but he gives you 65 games, played 32.6 minutes per game, shot 50% from the floor, 38.5% on 5.5 attempts from three-point range, 56% from two-point range on 10.2 attempts, 56.5% EFG, shot 85.1% from the free throw line, 8.4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, 1.5 blocks, and 23.2 points per game. If you could get that Washington Kristaps Porzingis, 65 games played, healthy come playoff time, kind of be hard to say no to that, right? Again, give you, 2 blocks a game. He'd have the easiest time he's ever had in his career playing alongside Luka and LeBron. The type of threes and shots that he's going to generate would be ridiculous. But, you look at the last 2 years, it's 57 games, 42 games. But you look at the playoffs, right? He played in 7 playoff games in 2023, 2024, and only played 23.6 minutes per game on average in those games. Because Boston won the championship, right? They play, you got to think he played in less than half of the games. He only started in 4 out of those 7 games, right? And he only averaged 23.6 minutes per game because he couldn't play more. And then you look at this year. He played in 11 games, right? 7 games in which he started. So he came out the bench 4 of those games and only played 21 minutes per game. Right? He's unreliable, right? You look at the years in Dallas, right? He played, 7 out of 7 of those games, started those games, 33.3 minutes per game, averaged only 13.1 points per game, right? Shot, 30% from three-point range. You look at the first year in Dallas, 23.7 points per game, right? Shot 52.9% for three. If you got 2019, 2020, Kristaps Porzingis in the playoffs, perfect, right? With the 2022, 2023 Washington Wizards, Kristaps Porzingis, where he's giving you 65 games, playing 30 minutes a game. Perfect, right? Gives you 23 and 8, right? With 2 blocks and a steal, right? And you can get him for, say, a pick swap. Great, right? I'd almost rather go with a Nick Claxton, right? And then just can you bring in like I said, a Clint Capella or something like that. The thing is, I don't think the Lakers need a super skilled center. right? I don't, because I just don't think that super skilled center is going to get the opportunities that you would want them to get, right? Obviously, I'd love to have it. If you get a Kristaps, you get a Mark Williams or whatever, sure, I'd love to have it, right? Like, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? But I think, like, if you can just, all you really need is just like that, just can you go in, rebound, block shots, and, be a lob threat, right? And then get the perimeter guys that can do the dirty work, get some real athleticism out on the perimeter, and I think you're set, right? That's what I think the Lakers need to look to and focus on. Get those athletes out on the perimeter, get an athletic, versatile center, and that's it. Like, I think the Lakers would be one of the best teams in basketball, right? You get a little depth, get a better bench, boom, we're in business, right? But I think chasing Kristaps Porzingis is a little bit of I don't think it's necessary, is my point. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mix. Let me know. How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.